जे तू ना फड़दा.
First of all, thank you Seema Auntie, thank you all the Sevadars, thank you all for coming, thank you for those of us who can join virtually. Jai Guruji. My journey to Guruji's lotus feet perhaps took place over the last 20 years or more, and it was it was not a straight line. And let me explain. I was introduced to Guruji through my parents. I was in college, my brother was in college. We were both studying here in the US, parents were in Delhi. And my parents, both are government servants. My father is in the IAS, my father is in the Foreign Service, the IFS, and my mother is in the IAS. And as government servants, they consider themselves fairly educated, fairly intellectual. And at the time, Guruji and his followers, his disciples, there was a big push to get government servants involved because they wanted to change India at a fundamental level, and they felt that getting the government involved would be a very good thing. So somebody introduced my parents to Guruji, and they told me and my brother about it on the phone. And my brother and I were very skeptical and advised them that this may not be a good use of their time. They did not listen to us, and for the next 5 years, every week, they went to Chota Mandir in Delhi. And slowly, sometimes they had health problems, Guruji was there to help them. Sometimes they had problems with their careers, Guruji was there to help them. And so we heard stories of Guruji for 5 years through them. Then in 2006, I got married, went to Delhi, and my wife and I went to, my parents took us to Chota Mandir, and we actually were there in Guruji's presence. There were a lot of bhajans. He was sitting on the throne, much like this, and his disciples were massaging his feet. And we were just sitting quietly, absorbing it all in. And honestly, we were still skeptics at the time. And we didn't realize how powerful and how divine he was. Then, over the years, my parents kept saying, do mantra japa, pray to Guruji, remember him from time to time, just as Seema Auntie was saying a few minutes ago. And whenever my parents came to visit in the US, they always insisted they needed to go to some kind of Sangha. So when we were living in New York, they made us go to a Sangha in Manhattan. When they visited us in New Jersey, they made us go to a Sangha organized by this group, first in the older building, and a few years ago over here. And a few years ago, my father actually was standing right here giving his satsang. So then in 2018, it was my grandmother's 90th birthday. And at that time, Guruji, he attained samadhi. He was no longer with us in the physical plane. And my parents, that day, we went to the Bada Mandir. And then in the morning, and then in the evening, we went to the Chota Mandir. And I remember this very distinctly. They went into one of these little gullies and bought 100 samosas, 100 laddus to give, to present at the Chota Mandir. And they felt extremely glad doing that. And when we were there was one auntie, Sudha auntie. And she knew that we had come there for a reason. And she said, please come this way. And she opened a door, and it was actually Guruji's bedroom. So we were very honored to take a peek inside and see Guruji's bedroom, which was very modest, and it was a big honor. So, and still, even at that point, there was a fair amount of skepticism for me, my wife, my brother, pretty much all the younger people in the family. Then just this week, something life-changing happened to me, and it would have been a complete disaster. And I'm sure the only reason I was saved was because of Guruji. To give you some context, last year I was trading the stock market and made a decent amount of money. Then in January, to the middle of January, I made more money in the stock market, and to be honest with you, it gave me a huge ego. I was overly confident. So I took all of my life savings, put it in the stock market. But it didn't stop there. I went and I borrowed more money and I put it in the stock market. I was that confident with what I was doing. And on Monday, things were going great. Then on Tuesday, my whole account went to zero. And it didn't stop there. It went negative. I have no idea how an account can go negative, but it went negative a few $1 million. I'm not joking. I was terrified because based on my salary and everything, there was no way I could pay that money back. And I had no idea what was going on. I was calling bankruptcy lawyers. I was calling all kinds of folks to see how I could protect my assets, move the house into somebody else's name, all kinds of things. But I had many sleepless nights. Tuesday, Wednesday were completely sleepless nights. My hands were shaking. I was completely terrified. I thought I was in financial ruin. And then my parents always told me whenever you're in trouble, look at Guruji's picture, do mantra japa, and just trust in him. And so I was talking to my brother on the phone, and he also was helping me through this crisis. And we both were doing the mantra japa on the phone, and gave ourselves to Guruji and said, somehow this will become better. Then on Thursday, just for 15 minutes, the stock market went in my favor, ever so slightly. And in those 15 minutes, I was able to close out all my positions, pay back the money I borrowed. I still lost most of my money, but at least I didn't owe anyone else's money. And I avoided bankruptcy, financial ruin. Me and my family, my kids, we would all be out on the street. There was no way to avoid that had it not been for those 15 minutes. And I remember this vividly because I had Guruji's picture right by my computer. The market went in my favor just a little bit for 15 minutes. I'm telling you, it was a sign. Closed everything, and immediately afterwards, the market went back against me. But I had closed everything out. So I really feel I have been given a second chance, a second lease on life. Since Thursday, I've been looking at everything in a brand new light, a brand new way, and I can't explain it in any other way other than Guruji was very generous, very kind to me, and his force helped me in those 15 minutes in such a life-changing way. And ever since then, since Thursday, I've been eternally in his gratitude. And yes, Jai Guruji.
Thank you.